Hello everyone, today we're going to look at multiplication and division of fractions. So before you multiply out fractions, you should always simplify them first. Okay, so for example, we have 2x minus 4 over 4x plus 12 times 2x squared plus x minus 15 over 3x minus 1. So in order to simplify it first, we have to factor everything and then cancel factors that are on the top and the bottom. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the actual factorization because we've done that in other sections. So for these problems, before we go to the next step, I want you to pause the video, do out the factorization yourself, and make sure that you're getting the same thing. Okay? So when we factor it out, we have 2 times x minus 2 as my first numerator, then 4 times x plus 3 as my first denominator. The next numerator becomes x plus 3 times 2x minus 15, and then we can't factor the other denominator. So if we look at it, we can hopefully see a couple of things that will get canceled out. So x plus 3 and x plus 3. And then don't forget about the coefficients. 2 goes into 4 twice. Okay, so on the top we have x minus 2, 2x minus 3. On the bottom, we have 2 and 3x minus 1. So we just put them together as one fraction. You don't have to actually multiply anything out, so just leave it in factored form. So let's try another one. 4 minus x squared over x squared minus 3x plus 2 divided by x plus 2 over x squared minus 9. So remember, whenever you're dividing a fraction, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. So when I do the factorization, I'm also going to flip the second fraction and change the division to multiplication. Okay, so 4 minus x squared becomes 2 minus x times 2 plus x. X squared minus 3x plus 2 is going to become x minus 2 times x minus 1. Again, we're changing the division to multiplication and we're flipping our fraction. So x plus 2 was on top, it's now on the bottom. And x squared minus 9 becomes x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, and then we start to look at, well, what cancels out? We have an x plus 2 and a 2 plus x, that's the same thing. And then remember from before, we've got a 2 minus x and an x minus 2. So those cancel, but they cancel as a negative 1 because they're opposite signs. Right? 2 minus x, x minus 2. They're off by a negative. And then we clean it up and we put it into one fraction. So we've got the negative, we've got the x plus 3, the x minus 3 on top. On the bottom we have the x minus 1. And we're done. Let's try another one. 2x squared minus 4x minus 6 over 3x minus x squared times 4x squared minus x cubed over 4x squared minus 4x minus 8. Okay, it is multiplication, so I don't have to rearrange anything, and I'm just factoring. So on the top, we can factor out a 2 first, right? Remember, always look for a GCF. And then we'll have x minus 3x plus 1. The denominator, there's only a GCF of x, so I pull it out. 4x squared minus x squared, there's again a GCF of x squared, so we take it out. The denominator, there's a GCF of 4, so I take that out first, and then factor the remaining into x minus 2 times x plus 1. Okay. And then, again, we start looking at what can we cancel. X plus 1 and x plus 1. X minus 3 and 3 minus x, again, cancel as a negative 1. 2 goes into 4 twice. And we have an x and an x squared, so I'm going to get rid of the square because I still have an x. Okay, so everything on the left side gets canceled out except there's still a negative 1. And then on the right-hand side, on the top, we have an x, we have the 4 minus x. On the bottom, we have the 2 and the x minus 2. So again, negative x, 4 minus x over 2, x minus 2. I can put the negative wherever I want. Remember, if I put it on top or put it on the bottom, it's the same thing. Just conventionally, we leave it on top. And then for our last one, x to the fourth minus 9 over x squared divided by x squared plus 3 squared. Okay. So again, we have a division here. So instead of dividing by x squared plus 3 squared, we're going to change that to multiplying by 1 over x squared plus 3 squared. Okay. We can't factor, well, that's already factored. We can't go any further. The x squared is already factored, and then this guy is a difference of two squares, x squared plus 3 and x squared minus 3. Remember, x to the fourth is x squared squared. So just to clean that up a little bit, we get this guy. And then the only thing we can do is an x squared plus 3 with, again, one of those x squared plus 3. So I'm getting rid of the square, but I still have one of the factors. And that's the best I can do. Right? X squared minus 3 and x squared plus 3 cannot cancel. They're not a difference by, they're not off by a factor of 1 because the x squared is positive in both of them. So this is what I get. The x squared minus 3 on top, the x squared, and the x squared plus 3 on the bottom. Okay, so just be careful on what cancels and what doesn't cancel. And then, again, put it all as to one fraction, but you don't have to multiply it through. Leave it in factored form. Okay, so make sure you read through the section, try the homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.